Hey guys, OGalbina here, bringing you guys our NCP Season 6, I think, Week 4 battle against Aquarius and her Chicago Strength Step. Aquarius is a great player. I'm sure you've seen her stuff if you're over on my channel, but if you haven't, definitely go check her out. She's a great player, makes great content, all that good stuff. So we have her work cut out for us this week, and it's especially frustrating knowing we got a really tough game this week, and we probably should have won our last week's game if we didn't get pretty darn unfortunate there at the end. Spoilers if you haven't seen it, but oh well. But yeah, so this is a pretty important game, but we have a pretty rough matchup here, and yeah, let's go and jump into it. I do want to give you guys a heads up though. Fourth wall break, I am going to be post-comming this game. I went to go look at the footage before you know, recording this and getting all that stuff ready, but my audio is all messed up for some reason, and I don't feel like spending the time to fixing it, so it's going to be a post-com. I'm going to post-com over right after I record this. Sorry about that if you're more of a live com fan. Just figured I'd give you guys the heads up now. And if you guys enjoy live post-coms, let me know. I personally enjoy post-coms much more as a viewer, but, you know, it's all dependent on you guys. But with that being said, let's go and jump into the team builder so you can see what we're bringing while we're bringing it. So you got that background knowledge and context going into the battle. If you want to skip ahead to the battle, there's a timestamp on the screen right now and in the description below when that starts. Okay, so let's jump into our team. If you did forget, it's at the top of the screen. It consists of Garchomp, Heatran, Scolipede, Jellicent, Celebi, Scrafty, Inteleon, Thundy, Munchlax, and the Sudowoodo, while our opponent's team is at the bottom of the screen, and it consists of Zapdos, Scizor, sorry, I already forgot the Pokemon's name, it was the second one, Latias, Seismitoad, Roserade, Arcanine, Snorlax, Grimmsnarl, Selgor, Politoed, and Seaking. So, really interesting team, and something I noticed while building for this one is, because if you look at Aquarius' team, I won't lie, there is no, like, oh shit, this is scary mon. Like, the top end of the team is very mediocre, in my opinion. Now, that's not to say this team's bad, actually. What I realized in building for is it synergizes and goes together very well. But it is very interesting to note that I think, like, Bestmon Zapdos is pretty crazy in Galar decks, even though it is a more limited meta. And I love Zapdos, I love Scizor, I love Latias. I like this team's overall general structure. I like the, you know, the Rain option that she can pivot into and go for, but it's not, you know, necessarily a Rain team. You can very easily go without the Rain. I actually don't think she's brought it up to this point in the season. So I think that's very interesting to note, though. And again, while it might not be the scariest team, when it comes to, like, big uh-oh shit threats, it's still, you know, formulated very well. In particular, I do not switch into offensive Zapdos whatsoever. It's very difficult for me to deal with that Pokemon. Latias can also be a big pain, dropping relatively free Dracos on my entire squad. I don't have my Sylveon up at the top on accident, so I'll fix that in the graphics next time. Oops. We do have a Sylveon, but I'm not bringing it this week. I actually think it's very bad versus Aquarius with the Roserade plus Scizor. Now, you can make the argument, obviously, I can Mystical Fire, but with the Rain option, I just personally don't think it's very worth it. So we're not bringing it. So that makes Latias really scary for our team. The Rain option is really scary. Seismitoad plus even something as bad as Seaking can really go crazy on me, so we have to be very careful about that. Other than that, though, I feel like I can handle her team very well, offensively and defensively, and yeah, we just gotta jump into it. So, our first monster on the screen is going to be our Garchomp, rocking out with the Life Orb. Rough Skin is its ability, Earthquake, Dragon Claw, Stone Edge, and Stealth Rock. Eevee's always got 12 HP, max attack, and 244 speed with the Jolly Nature. Really straightforward spread. We are max attack, just to do as much damage as humanly possible. 244 Jolly outpaces Zapdos if it is offensive, just in case. And yeah, rest in HP. This thing does really well offensively. If you look at Aquarius' team, she doesn't have a ground resist at all. Now, I don't want to take the time to spend setting up because I don't think I'm really going to get much anywhere with that, because it could very viably be Scarf Lottie. Rain Sweepers can outspeed me if I'm at +1, if she does elect to go that route and things like that. And I don't expect her to want to, like, let me set up with anything. There's very few setup opportunities I actually get against this team, so I'd rather attack where my opponent can't defend, if that makes any sense. Earthquake, Dragon Claw, and Stone Edge just really nuke everything, and then Rocks, if we can get them up, are really nice in this game. Hazards in general are really nice in this game. You're gonna see I'm gonna take a more hazard-centric approach again, because I have terrible removal. If you look at my team, my removal is Thundy, and you can see the double spikes options of Selgor and Roserade on Aquarius' team. And I really do expect her to want to try and get spikes on my end, and if she does, that's fine. We're rocking out with triple boots this week, and if she doesn't want to get hazard stacked herself, she's going to have to defog. There's no spin option on her team. So I'd rather force my opponent to defog or make her take that spike ship and rock ship throughout the game, you know, on top of me taking them, I guess is an easier way to putting it. Next up, we have our Heatran, rocking out the leftovers. Flame Body as its ability. Magma Storm, Earth Power, Toxic, and Protect. Eevee's I got 244 HP, 4 defense, 68 special attack, 28 speed def, and 164 speed with a careful nature. Or no, Calm Nature, sorry. But yeah, this Pokemon Spadef U-Turn is pretty solid despite there being Rain as an option. We are Flame Body to punish U-turns from things like Seismitoad, Scizor, and things like that. As I don't really get much value out of being Flash Fire in this game, because if Arcanine comes, I expect like a more offensive Arcanine, and it still gets like close combat and Bulldoze to push through me. Like I'm not beating Arcanine in a 1v1 scenario unless I'm at full, and I do that regardless. Like I can't switch in and take that thing on really. So I figured going Flame Body to punish U-turns from Scizor, which can be pretty scary otherwise, would be smart for me personally. Magnusform and Toxic and Protect is going to be really nice for things like Zapdos, Lottie. It chips down things like Toad. Same thing with like a non-resting Snorlax, which is great. If we get Toxic on the first time, the second time we get off a big Magnustorm, now we can either force it into a rest or chip it down immensely. We check Grimmsnarl, we check the Selgor. This is really good, and then we absolutely wall the Ever-Loving Daylights out of Roserade if that does elect to come. So I think this is really solid. And again, it can also force chip on like those Rain Mons like Politoed, Seadra, Seeking, and Seismitoad, which is great. So despite there being a Rain option, I think it's pretty darn important to have Heatran in this matchup here. Next up, we have our Thundy. Great win con this week in Thunderbolt, Dark Pulse, Agility, and Grass Knot. Each has got 4 HP, max special attack, and max speed with a timid nature. Again, this lets us outspeed max speed Zapdos, which is great. And yeah, it does really, really solidly offensively. Now, we don't have Focus Blast for the Snorlax, but I feel as if it's a lot easier for me to chip down Snorlax than it is for me to chip down Latias and Seismitoad, so I'd rather have the couch for those two things. And outside of those three Pokemon, I can kind of just Thunderbolt through things. Also, no extra sensory for Roserade, but again, it's a mon that I feel like I'm actually very, very solid against. And I actually don't expect it to come all too much, but it could. I think if a Spiker comes, it's probably a Selgor in this game. I don't think Roserade is very good against me in particular, but regardless, Thundy does really, really well offensively. It can soft check Zapdos defensively as well, which is good to know, and it finds setup opportunities on that, as well as the Scizor. Realistically, we can almost live a hit from anything besides rain boosted attacks against Aquarius' whole team and set up that agility, outspeed everything. Seeking, we have to make sure it's in range of Grass Knot, as it might be Lightning Rod. It's some weird last ditch check to Thundy, but obviously we'll see, throughout the game potentially if it is Swift Swim instead. And I do low-key more so expect Swift Swim if it does end up coming. Next up, we have a Spadef, Scrafty, Leftovers, Shetskin as its ability, Drain Punch, Knockoff, Rest, and Bulk Up. This Pokemon does really well in this game. Fairy-type Grimmsnarl, I'll say it until the end of time. I think Grimmsnarl is a dog-shit fairy. I think it's not a very good Pokemon in general, and I don't think it's going to come versus me. Rest Shetskin also lets me switch in a Lottie more consistently, as I can kind of switch in, take the, what do you call it from it? Take the Draco and then rest up to where I'm not too killed by Draco next time, or just die to Draco next time, which I think is really, really important. We will live Draco to Draco unless it's Specs, and if it's Specs, we can pivot out and deal with it accordingly. I don't expect it to be Specs. I really do expect it to be Scarf if it does come. I think Scarf is much, much better than me than any other set that she can elect to bring. And yeah, if we get a couple bulk up stuff, we get rid of the Zapdos. This Pokemon can just win on its own right. There's not a lot that can really deal with it, or like a Dazzling Gleam Roserade, I guess, could also deal with us potentially. Play Roughing Arcanine is another scary thing. But there's also a great Snorlax check. We can pivot into Snorlax, start bulking up alongside its curses, knock off any berries or items, and probably win that 1v1 most of the time unless we get pretty unlucky. So that's great. And then we have our Scolipede rocking out with the heavy duty boots. Speed boost is its ability, Mega Horn, Earthquake, Spikes, and Endeavor. Max attack, 12 defense, 244 speed with the Jelly Nature, outspeeding the Latias. Max attack, and then just a little bit in defense. And yeah, this thing is here to get up a bunch of spikes. Like I said, if all things go according to plan, I get up 2 to 3 spikes on this team, and then potentially rocks even with my Garchomp. And she's either forced to defog with something like Zapdos, Scizor, or Latias, which I don't think are really going to kind of fit it. I don't know. I don't think they're great defoggers. Yeah, otherwise our whole team is going to get super, super chipped down via spikes, and that's going to be the main plan. Endeavor to chip down things like Zapdos is really, really clutch for me. Even if I've just, like, if I switch in, take a hit from, like, a Scald from a Seismitoad, Politoed, something like that, I can Endeavor and keep that Zapdos very, 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 very low, which I think is really important, too, as well. So, yeah. Oh, and then one more. We have our Inteleon with a really, really weird set. Of course, we forget about the weirdest set. Shouts to Kaz for helping me with this one. But it's a fun one regardless. We have Liquidation, Icicle Spear, Fell Stinger, and Swords Dance, Heavy Duty Boots, Inteleon. Max attack, 12 defense, and 244 speed with an Adamant Nature. I believe we are creeping Lottie, creeping Garchomp with this. We got a little bit more aggressive, so we go Adamant, because we are a physical Inteleon instead, which is really interesting. But if we can't find the opportunity to Swords Dance, this Pokemon does really, really well. Liquidation plus Icicle Spear hits Aquarius' team very, very hard, and Felstinger is great to pick off threats that are low, like potentially like a weakened Latias, or a weakened Roserade, or a weakened Snorlax, and especially because I expect, like, especially if a rain aspect comes, I expect Snorlax to be the main pivot into this thing, if Snorlax does come, just because of the fact, you know, like split up wall switches and Inteleon, blah, blah, blah. I really do expect that to potentially be the switch in, and if we can get up an SD, or same thing as the Rose, right, we can get up an SD on their switch in, we just kind of blow through them very easily, which I think is really important. +2 liquidation to Fellstinger should take out most Snorlaxes as well, as long as like Rain is up. So that's also really clutch to know. But yeah, that's gonna be the team, I'm pretty sure. Yep, it is. I'll be right back with the battle. Alrighty guys, here with the battle. Like I said, gonna be post-com this week, and I'll probably talk about it in a future video, but I'm thinking about moving to post-coms for the time being, so maybe I'll get more of these, who knows. But we can see the 6 that Aquarius are like bring. She has a Zapdos, which my face is covering, Scizor, Seismitoad, Acelgor, Politoed, and Seeking. And looking at this, immediately, again, in hindsight, I'm like, why the fuck don't I have Jellicent? Jellicent did really good here. Maybe I was scared of Zapdos coming in or something like that, but having a Water immunity against a team like this, would have been so ridiculously clutch. I think like Jellicent 6-0'd this team on lead that Aquarius ended up bringing. Like, it did so good. Outside of the Zapdos, there weren't great ways of breaking through it. So it's gonna be really unfortunate, but hey, do what you can. Let's go ahead and skip forward a little bit. I'm gonna be skipping around a little bit just because of the fact that, you know, if I'm post-comming, I might as well, you know, go ahead and go with this. So we are going to lead off with our Heatran. I see the Acelgor, and I see this is going to be Spike's lead. No way offensive Acelgor comes in this matchup, and if it is, it's like some weird mud shot variant. I'd rather be able to lead well against that. And the other thing I don't lead well against is Politoed or like Seismitoad's lead, if those are leads. And I feel pretty comfortable pivoting into them early, so I'd rather get in my Heatran as early as possible to potentially be able to deal with that. So let's go and jump into it. She was playing through Marcus because her land wasn't working or something like that, which is completely fine, not too big of a deal. But we are playing Aquarius in this game for sure, as we are going to jump right in and see that Acelgor lead. Now, this is perfect. All I need to do right here is just Magma Storm, and this thing can totally be Sash. Completely fine with me. I'll be able to break its Sash and then kill with Magma Storm the subsequent turn. If it's Scarf Gambit, or like just, not even Scarf Gambit, if it's just Gambit in general, that's also fine with me. I don't need this Pokemon to win the game, especially against this Rain variant that she liked to go for. We are going to see the Spike initially though, which is, you know, annoying, but not the biggest deal in the world. We're going to miss, we're going to hit our Magma Storm. We're going to see an Aqua Berry, and this is a pretty cool tech. I assume this thing was pretty darn Spadef in order to live a Magma Storm into the burn that it's going to take right here. So pretty solid prep here by Aquarius, really ensuring that she can either get up 2 layers of spikes or get off some sufficient chip onto my Heatran, as this thing does kind of, you know, check it very well. So this next turn, I am going to click Earth Power. She does get another Spike if she wants to, but we are going to see a Mud Shot. And thanks to the fact that I am pretty Spadef, we're going to take this very well still, which is really, really nice. We are going to see a Speed Drop, which is unfortunate, but not the biggest deal in the world. And we're going to be able to Earth Power and take this guy out. That in conjunction with a Magma Storm would have definitely taken out, even if it was like ridiculously Spadef or something like that. But I'm pretty sure that always killed. So that's obviously nice. Unfortunately, Heatran takes a little bit of chip, and we also are going to have a Spike up on our end, but we could have really avoided that Spike regardless. So there's not much I could have done in that front at the very least. So we at least take out the Acelgor immediately, stop it from getting up spikes later, and stop it from being a pretty offensive, big offensive threat here later, as well as we are going to see Politoed come out. And this is a little bit scary, but being the fact that this came out, I'm pretty free to just throw off a Protect here, get it back a little bit of lefties, kind of mitigating those spikes damage when I come back in later, as well as scouting to see what this thing wants to go for in this initial instance. And again, this is really unfortunate because of the fact that I don't have Jellicent. Now, I might not have pivoted in Jellicent on this anyways to avoid like getting Toxic, because I assume this thing definitely has Toxic. But what this does is it just gives a free Scald. I don't have a Scald switch in, which is ridiculously unfortunate. So we're going to zoom ahead just a little bit, as I am going to elect to go into my Scully here eventually. And you're going to see, oops, I am going to get scalded right here, and I am going to get burned, which is pretty darn unfortunate, but it's really not that big of a deal in the sense that I probably would have just gotten up a Spike or Endeavored anyways and gone down the next turn. It just makes it to where I can't like bluff like any like crazy offensive stuff. But again, there's no move that Scolipede would have gone for that would have done more unburned than an Endeavor at like 2 HP would have done. So I am going to go for this Endeavor, because if I can get up my rocks later, limiting the amount of times that this thing can switch in is ridiculously important for the rest of my squad. So that's going to be nice. We are going to take out the going to get taken out by the Scald here, and I'm going to elect to go into Thunderous. And this was a big mistake in my opinion. In my opinion, I should have always gone Garchomp. always gone Garchomp right here, because Garchomp also forced a potential KO, but it could have dealt better with an incoming Zapdos, which you're going to see next here, and there's no Water Abuser that really could have dealt with me very well up to this point either. In my head, I was like, cool, Thundy gets a KO, but I should have been preserving this for an endgame, where I could have agilityed up and very easily won this game, because I don't think there's even a Latios on the other side. The entire team gets smashed by the combination of 3 moves we have. Really just, not even the combination of 3 moves, just Grass Knot plus Thunderbolt rip through this team. As we are going to see the Zapdos come in. And again, this makes sense because Aquarius needs to save her Politoed so that she can get up Rain later. The rest of her team is really bad without that Rain. And I Grass Knotted because it covers like a Seeking coming in. But again, maybe I should have just Thunderbolted because I was terrified of, what do you call it, giving letting that Seeking in for free. But in that case, it's not Swift Swim. So is it really that scary, you know? So that's a big positioning mistake by me, in my personal opinion. I definitely should have just Thunderbolted. And I don't even think I should have gone Thundy. I think I should have gone Chomp and gotten that opportunity to break through. I just Dragon Claw for free on that turn right there. And especially if it's like an offensive Toad, it's probably getting to it KO'd by Life Orb. But this turn, I am going to elect a Thunderbolt, as I don't really have a great switch into this thing. As we're going to see, it's pretty darn bulky as well. And I'm not going to be able to force the KOs that I want, because the Rain is up. I can't very viably switch into anything else, and this thing is going to have Weather Ball, which is, again, absolutely terrible. I am going to go for a Thunderbolt again here, as it does look like maybe if I get a potential high roll, I can grab it. But I just threw away a phenomenal win con. I'm not finding that opportunity to agility up ever again. Unless it's in the face of like Politoed switching out, but even then, you know, this is pretty darn tough, as this Zapdos is going to be able to roost here and kind of stop me a little bit. Which is, again, really, really annoying. We are stalling out potential Rain turns. We do see right here as well that is going to be a Damp Rock, which, again, you know, good to know at the very least. But this next turn, I believe I might even realizing I simply cannot switch into this Pokemon. I think I'm actually going to go for a Dark Pulse, because worst comes to worst, if this thing doesn't get flinched, it's, you know, going to roost anyways, and we're stalling out these turns to where you can potentially pivot out. Or, you know, beat it that way, as we are going to get a crit Dark Pulse. Wishing I clicked Thunderbolt and got the crit Thunderbolt, but we are just going to see a Weather Ball come out here and knock at our Thundy, and we just lost our best win con. Just straight up lost our win con, which is very, very bad positioning by me, and very much so being over aggressive. This next turn, I'm finally going to elect to go into Garchomp, I believe. It's my only way of really revenging this thing, and again, it does really, really well right here. I just think if I went into it earlier, it would have been able to break a lot better for something like the Thundurst to win later, because this thing can't switch into my Garchomp. I Dragon Claw into Stone Edge and just nuke it. So I don't think that thing can ever come in on me, and his Rain Sweeper's risk taking a Life Orb Earthquake from my Garchomp, which doesn't seem like very advantageous. I guaranteed Force to KO, potentially on this Zapdos, and then she gets to go hard into the Rain Sweepers, and I just have more pieces, you know? I have more pieces to potentially play around this. Now I already have 4 Pokemon left. There's a Spike up, and getting this trade for like a potential Zapdos, just not worthwhile in my opinion, as I am just going to be able to Dragon Claw. I am able to take out the Zapdos, which is great, because I couldn't switch into it, but now the Rain Sweepers come in, and I have no way of outspeeding them. I have no speed control at this point anymore. My speed control before was going to be to, what do you call it? Agility up. Thankfully, the rain does end, so this still does put us in a pretty decent position, but not as good as it could have been, in my opinion. I definitely don't think I positioned this well. It doesn't help that I didn't bring a water immunity. This next turn, this guy is going to come out here, the, what do you call it? The Politoed, which is fine. She's definitely not going to sack this thing off in the slightest, but I don't have great positioning to double and punish this thing for coming in here and, you know, get in on a potential sack. But I am just going to, I believe, throw off an Earthquake and nab me one. There's not really much that this Politoed can do. To me, obviously, being slower, and something on this team is going to take a massive Life Orb Earthquake. And she sees that I'm Life Orb at this point. So, that's obviously, you know, at least clutch in its own right. As I am going to pick up a KO. Yeah, we'll go from there. So, we're going to see the Scizor come out. Being that my Heatran is so low, this is nice to potentially get rid of this thing if it was like a more offensive variant. As you're going to see, Life Orb Earthquake does a ridiculous amount of damage, which again, really, really nice. I'm just going to throw off another Earthquake. I'll live a Bullet Punch from here unless it's banded. And it doesn't look to be too offensive from that damage, at least at a first glance. Not going to lie, like I know that calc. But we're going to take out this thing right here with an Earthquake. The only issue is now those abusers can kind of come in and have their way with me, which is, again, really, really, really scary and pretty unfortunate. So, Right here, Aquarius is really just going to kind of take her pick of which rain sweeper she wants to go into. We're going to see the size of a toad come out here, which is really, really scary. I, again, do not have good switch-ins. I'm going to elect to just sack off my Heatran right here, trying to get a free switch into something like Scrafty and deal with it subsequently from there. If it is, I can deal with it if I switch in at least a little bit better. I can't really deal with it if I come hard in on it with a spike up and rain up, as unfortunately it's going to be sub toad, and this spells disaster for us right here, man, because I don't really have a way of breaking this thing sub. It's going to end behind a sub before I come in. I'm not going to be able to knock off its item with Scrafty. I'm not going to be able to Drain Punch any substantial health back, because I would definitely get a little bit more. And I'm just going to be in a pretty terrible position right here going forward, as right here, I am going to have to sack this thing off eventually. I don't really lose anything in, you know, trying to go for an Earth Power if this thing has some weird shenanigans that it wants to pull on us, like Focus Punch, if that's its way of hitting me for some reason, but it should always have Liquidation, Earth Power. We were Flame Body, so I'm very surprised that she went for the Liquidation. I think that Earthquake was always just a safer play. I don't have a ground immunity on this team, and I don't have a ground resist on this team. I understand Liquidation is more to everything else coming in, but risking that Flame Body didn't seem worth it in my opinion. Unfortunately, we are not Intimidate Scrafty in this matchup either. We are Shed Skin, we're a Bulk Up Rest variant as per usual, and I wanted to potentially be able to Shed Skin off those hits, things like that. And yeah, this is going to put me in a pretty tough position where I am going to be forced to go into Scrafty. And looking at the calcs, even in the rain, a Bulk Up after taking a rain boosted Liquidation, because this isn't a boosting item, I should be able to take a Liquidation into another one and get a big rest off. And again, try and stall out these turns a little bit, and potentially with proper luck 1v1 this thing, as we are going to take a ridiculous amount from that Liquidation, and then we're going to bulk up in this thing's face. Now again, if we got that Flame Body burn, we actually could have just like raw won the game right here, very, very easily with this thing, being that the Zapdos is gone. We beat the Politoed plus the Seeking very, very easily. So if we could have gotten that off, we would have been in a great spot. This next turn, though, I am going to be forced into a rest turn. There's not really anything I can do. There's 3 turns of rain left, which is at least good to know. Now, she can sack the Politoed to get another turn of rain off, but there's not much we can do otherwise. And if that Politoed does come out and reset the rain, it's kind of done its job. It's gotten enough rain 3 times throughout the game. So we're definitely in a precarious situation. But again, we can pull it out potentially if things go correctly for us here. As I am just going to go ahead and rest this next turn. And as we are going to see a Liquidation come out here. And unfortunately, we are going to take that Liquidation very, very well. But we are going to get defense dropped. And again, that just kind of spells the end of the game. Now, I'm not going to pretend like I got hacks this game. I think I prepped very poorly, and I think I positioned offensively pretty poorly. But if a couple things go our way, honestly, we can potentially still pull this game out. But this Sub-Toad is just going to kind of do us dirty now. We are going to try and wake up and bulk up if we can. Again, these things are possible, but it doesn't seem like it, you know? So we are going to see just another Liquidation. There's no reason to not throw it off. Obviously, I didn't wake up. There is no threat to this Seismitoad now, and we're going to see, obviously, that's a clean 2-hit KO, unfortunately. And we are, unfortunately, not going to wake up. We're going to get a little bit of lefties back here. Sorry. Right here, and I'm going to elect to switch out right here. I have to save Scrafty. I have to find another opportunity to potentially get in. It is my only win con. My SD Inteleon is not going to win the game for me whatsoever. So we're going to go hard out into it right here on a Liquidation. We are going to chew that up, thankfully. At least take one of these hits, which is good. I mean, we will live after the spike too. But we're gonna get crit. I mean, which doesn't really matter at the end of the day. And we're going to see this thing. What do you call it? Have the rain go away, but again, we just need that Inteleon to come in, or that Politoed to come in, and then we lose to whatever Rain Sweeper wants to come out immediately after, which is unfortunate, but that's Pokemon. This next turn, I elect to just throw off an Icicle Spear to potentially do some damage behind that sub, and try and deal with it that way. Unfortunately, it's not going to work out for us, though, as she does make the correct play, and just sacks off the, what do you call it? The Politoed, and then this guy's going to come out, and we are unfortunately going to lose 3 Pokemon to this Seeking, which is unfortunate. It's not Lightning Rod. If it was Lightning Rod, maybe we could have done something. Not really, because Toad just also came in and went. It doesn't matter what came in. Like, Toad could have done the same exact thing. This is just the budget version of it, and, you know, it's cool to see Seeking do work, at least, as we're going to have this guy go down. I'm just going to go ahead and skip forward. This guy's going to go down to an Ice Beam. and this guy's gonna go down to a waterfall. And unfortunately, that's our season. I mean, it might be our season. We're 1-3 at this point, which isn't great. I haven't been playing great this season. I don't know what it is. I'm very much so slumping on Wi-Fi, and I kind of said it earlier in the video, and I'm going to talk about it in another video too. But I think I am going to elect to start post-comming, at least for now, because I'm really struggling with the commentary aspect while playing to the best of my abilities. I got a one-track mind, man, and I want to make sure that I'm winning at the end of the day. I think that's the most important thing to me, is I want to do well. I dedicate a lot of time to Draft League every week, and losing consistently like this, it's just not, it's not in my DNA. It's not, I can't deal with it very well. I'm sure you guys see me get very frustrated in a lot of live comms as well, because one, I feel like the videos are terrible. If I'm losing, why are you watching me? You don't want to watch me if I'm losing. Two, I don't want to play if I'm losing. Like, I do want to play if I'm losing, right? I'm never going to win every game. And that's, again, what makes the drive of, you know, competitive games, sports, things like that, is losing sucks, but it's going to happen sometimes, so those wins feel sweet. But I think, personally, that I'm too good to lose this much. And again, that's not like a cockiness. I think that I'm a top 3 player on Wi-Fi when I'm not playing like an absolute baboon, which I have been lately, honestly. It's not that I've been getting really unlucky. Against Jaybear, I did. That game was terrible. But other than that, I just haven't been playing very well. I'm not even doing very well in Pack, which is another league I feel like I should be kind of smoozing through. So obviously, I need to settle down, figure out what's not working for me, and work through this, right? And I think a big way for me to be able to do that and get to the level in which I think I can play is going to be post-comming these games and kind of just focusing, sitting in my room and playing. When I first started playing Pokemon, I would turn off everything. I'd turn off the lights, I'd turn off music, and I would sit there and I would focus. I'd mumble to myself like a psychopath. And I would win. And I feel like I've gotten very good by doing things like that and really being able to see end games and position properly and things like that. And just this game, you saw, I didn't position very well. I threw in my win con immediately. I didn't get up any spikes, which I forgot to mention too, which was like my whole fucking game plan, was to punish her with spikes. And if I get up those spikes, that Polydrill can't switch in 2 more times, you know? So again, it's on me. I need to buckle up, so I need to focus. So I think we're going to do post-cons for a little bit. My next couple battles were recorded live cons, but I'm not a big fan of how they came out, so I'm going to do that. And starting NCP Week 5 has already been played, or whatever, Week 6, I think Week 5 is up next. Starting Week 6 onwards, I'm going to be just playing and doing full-on post-comps. I'll get the formula of them down, so that they're a little bit better and more digestible for you guys. And the only league that I'll be doing live comms in is MLG, which is the Showdown League, which is much less stressful. And because it's required, they really want live comms, so I'm not going to, be disrespectful to the league and, things like that. So I'll do live comms then, but yeah, I really want to focus up. I need to get out of this slump. I need to get better. Because I know I'm a good player, and I just haven't been showing it, and I want to show that to you guys, and I want to give you guys high quality content. I want to give you guys good games that are exciting to watch. This game wasn't exciting to watch. I kind of got manhandled here, but GG's to Aquarius, again, no shade. She just played 10 times better than me. I didn't play very well. I didn't prep very well. So I need to be better, and I'll try and be better for you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, drop a like. If you're new here, drop a sub. And if you have any ideas on why you think I'm not playing very well, I'm all for constructive criticism. Be like, hey, Owen, you are not seeing this. You are not doing this in your games. I'm super here for it. I appreciate it all. And I appreciate your guys' support. I'll see you guys next time. Later.